Hi, everyone. This is Dawn Richard, also known as The Awakening with Dawn, and this is the Wake Up to Real Love podcast, where we share stories of struggles and triumphs in love, sex, and relationships, along with expert advice to create more conscious connections. I am super honored and excited today to introduce my new friend, Sharon Martin. Hi, Sharon.
Hi, Dawn.
Sharon and I, well, I'll tell you a little bit about our meeting in just a minute, but Sharon is also a heavy hitter, even though she doesn't recognize that in herself. She is a civil servant, has been a civil servant for 36 years, public health advisor, community leader, motivational speaker, mentor, and world traveler. She was raised in Baltimore City, Maryland, where she was the third oldest of 7 children. That's a big family.
Yeah.
She currently lives in Lithonia, Georgia, is a recent widow. I'm sorry about that again. And has 6 adult children and 6 grandchildren. Another big family. Sharon works for the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, which this is so applicable in today's, today, what's going on, the coronavirus pandemic all around the world. Where she's held numerous positions over the past 33 years. During her time at CDC, she's dedicated herself to developing and motivating employees and enhancing their work experiences by serving on committees, boards, work groups, and employee organizations. She's called on by her organization and community groups to share a motivational word or poem. She serves as community relations ambassador and has served as president chair of the CDC ATSDR, which stands for Agency for Toxic Substances and Disease Registry, the Association for Professional Women, the National Center for Injury Prevention and Control Workforce Enhancement Work Group, the CDC ATSDR Equal Employment Advisory Council, CDC Mentoring Program, and the CDC Twilighters Bowling League, to name a few. She was a 2014 CDC ATSDR Blacks in Government Black Woman Rock honoree. Sharon's also dedicated to the betterment of her community with special emphasis on the development of youth and young adults. She serves as chair of the Lithonia First United Methodist Church, Christian Education Visioning Work Group, volunteers at Hosea Feeds the Hungry and Homeless, Hosea Helps, and Hands on Atlanta. Participated in the Farrington Elementary School Reading Program, and served as the co-chair of the White Oak Hills Baptist Church Youth Executive Board and Youth Academy and director of the Youth Choir. Is there anything you haven't done, Miss Sharon Martin? Welcome to the Wake Up to Real Love podcast.
Maybe that's why I feel like I need to rest right now.
You have had a big, full, philanthropic life.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, which is why I totally resonated with you when we met on our disco cruise.
Yes, that was fantastic. That was fantastic.
Just in time to, preface the pandemic. We were really, really lucky and blessed to be able to have that experience together.
Yes.
And I wanted to ask you, what was your favorite part?
My favorite part of the cruise? It was you guys. Oh my God, you guys made my cruise the best. We really had so much fun. We just clicked, and just a simple thing like you telling me that, hey, look, your back's getting pretty red. And I'm like, oh, let me go take care of that. I came back and we danced, and we've been dancing ever since. You saw me on the dance floor. You said, oh, come over here. That was the best. And so it really added something to the cruise. Yeah, because, did you ever meet my girlfriend who was traveling with me?
No.
I know, see? Because you guys were supposed to be with me. I was supposed to be with you. And then when we show up on Valentine's Day with almost the same identical shirt on, I'm like, wow, this was meant to be. So you guys really added a lot to my cruise. You really did.
And you added to ours too. I mean, your energy, the first time, even before I noticed your back was red, I just loved your energy dancing. And I was like, ooh, I got to dance with this woman. And we did.
Was so much fun.
We danced and we danced and we danced.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. Every chance we got.
We did. So, because I it's so funny, you know, that we resonated so quickly and deeply. You know, we had a lot of really great conversations. And this is why I wanted to invite you on the podcast, and how apropos that you work for the CDC with what's going on. So I know you're not going to speak in an official capacity today, but I wanted to ask your perspective on what's going on with the coronavirus.
You know, with the coronavirus, I really would, I wish that people would take it more seriously, because I understand how social distancing really does make a difference in controlling this virus and slowing it down. So if
you're talking about physical distancing, right?
Yes, yes, physical distancing, because, you know, I've shared on Facebook, you know, at several diagrams that shows how it works. You know, when one person affects 2 people, and those people go out and affect 5 people, you know, and it just snowballs. And just convey that, if people would just understand how important that is. And of course, the washing of the hands, but more so the proper washing of the hands. Most people just rub their hands together and run the water and they're done. But you have to wash your hands. You have to go to the back of your hands. You have to take your thumbs. You have to take your fingers, and because under your fingernails, you just rubbed your hands like that. You didn't get under your fingernails. Still carrying that germ, and you're eventually going to touch your face, your nose, your mouth. So, you know, you got to be really mindful right now of that. And I just want to, you know, stress that, you know, this social distancing does work. It does help to control this virus.
How do you feel like the media, this is the thing, that there's a lot of fear, you know, a lot of fear-based publicity. And I feel like, you know, this pandemic is helping people recognize their resourcefulness, recognize their connection, regardless of the social distancing. It's making us look at things in a really different perspective.
Oh, absolutely. You know, you take your family and your friends for granted sometimes. And think this is making us all sit up and take notice that, hey, you know, we've got each other when we don't have anything else. And people are being very creative in connecting. You know, thank God for social media. People are connecting more on social media and keeping, you know, I can't go to my mom, but I can call her. We can video chat, you know, and things like that. But I can't get to Baltimore right now. And I really making people pay attention to what's important. And some of the things that are important that we probably took for granted is the fact that we don't call one another regularly, or we don't get together. We always say we're going to. Well, guess what? You might wake up and there is not a day for us to do that. We've postponed it one time too many. And recognize that we've had a lot of friends who've had some really devastating, tragic things happen over these last couple of weeks, losing their daughter committing suicide, things like that. We can't get to those people. We take that for granted. We think that we're able to go and do, and we can't. So we've got to value this. This time is precious, very precious. And we have to really value the people that are in our lives, the things that we get to do on a daily basis that we so take for granted, just like going to the bowling alley, which I love and can't do right now. No, so we've got to really learn to be more grateful for the things that we have and the people that we have in our lives. I really think, and I think we're all learning that.
Yeah, I saw somebody post something about, will it be one day, you know, like you're talking about, one day I'll go visit my mom, one day I'll talk to so-and-so. Is it one day, or is today going to be day one?
Yeah.
And it's like really, really appreciating this present moment.
Exactly.
Because I think so many times in our lives, we're running around in the busyness of our responsibilities and obligations.
Yes.
not really paying attention to, like what you said, what's really important.
Right. Yeah. And the people in our lives that we take for granted are very important, because when they're not there, when you can't go to see them, or, it's really devastating to you. And we've got a lot of people who are isolated.
Mhm.
I think about really the elderly. I live alone, and so, but I'm able to go outside and walk my street. And my neighbors, we're doing the walking with the social distancing and things like that. But we have some people who can't get out and do that. Who look forward to seeing the mailman, or look
Mhm.
forward, just different things. People stopping by, that they don't have that now. You
Mhm.
know, checks, you can wellness check, but you have to do it, via phone. And so people used to look forward to that physical interaction that they can't have right now. I'm a hugger, and it kills me not to hug someone when I greet them.
I know, I know.
And so, you take that for granted, and I try to be mindful of people's personal space. Certain folks may not want you, but my thing is to greet you in love. And if I'm greeting you in love, I want to hug you. So,
Me too.
and it's just so hard not to do that. And when my neighbor came, and I hadn't seen him for a while yesterday, and we were going walking, and we had to start off our walk with distance. And normally we start off our walk with a hug, and it's like, this is hard. But so yeah, we've just got to pay more attention. And when this is over, I hope that this resonates with us, about paying attention and valuing out, and being appreciative of the people we have in our lives and the things we get to do on a daily basis.
Yeah, I have been thinking about that, and and when we're in our quote unquote regular lives, in
Mm-hmm.
the busyness and the craziness, and now we're forced to really isolate and sort of be quiet and reflective, and
Yes,
and recognizing what's all of the things that we think are essential really sort of are gone away right now. And
exactly.
so when this is all over, that somehow we find this balance
Mm-hmm.
between the busyness and the solitude,
Right.
really trying to figure out what's essential in life,
Mm-hmm.
and what things we can let go of, what things are not as meaningful.
And that's one of the things I'm finding, being here at the house, and every day it's like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And then my body says, why don't you just rest? Why
Yeah.
over there and do this? Why don't you just go out into the garden and do that? It's like, you don't have to be always doing something.
Yeah.
Sit still, and it's okay. And for a lot of us, especially women, we have to find a way to give ourselves permission to have downtime, because
Yeah.
we feel like we need to be doing something.
Right.
Don't, because one of the things we need to be doing is taking care of ourselves. And sometimes we don't put enough emphasis on that.
Hmm.
Take care of ourselves. And
which
we don't.
is just being, instead of
Yes,
doing, being.
yes, being, exactly. How many of us have all of these candles and things that we say we're going to go up and do the bubble baths, and again, how many of us really do it on a
I don't
regular?
have time.
Okay, I'm too tired. By the time I go upstairs, I'm too tired. So when do we really do this? I mean, we buy the candles, we got them, and we've got all the nice fragrances and bubble baths, and you know what I'm saying? And then we go upstairs and we're like, oh, I really want to do that. What do? We get in the bed,
Uh-huh.
we shower and get in the bed. We don't get in the tub. We don't take that time to just, hey, let me enjoy.
Be.
Let me be with myself for a minute. Let me check my thoughts. Let me check my emotions. Let me check where I am right now in life.
Yeah.
We need to do
Why
that.
do you think that we don't do that?
I think because society dictates that we should always be doing something. It's always been, it's like people shame you when you're not doing something. What are you doing? I'm not doing anything. Why aren't you doing? Why? I'm like,
Oh, I'm daydreaming.
exactly.
Oh,
That's
I'm using
that's
my imagination to create
that's
something.
unacceptable. That's unacceptable that you would do that. So So I just think that when we look at TV and we look around the world, it's like, oh, we need to be doing something. But in actuality, nobody should be doing something 24/7 like that. There should always be
No.
downtime.
And
Always.
I think, this is the one thing that I think kids are great for, because they don't just do,
No.
they spend a lot of time just being and
Yeah.
playing and imagining and dreaming and
And
this
a lot of them resting.
resting. Yeah, taking naps. Hello.
Yes.
What was that? Everything I need to know I learned in kindergarten. Take a nap and
Yes.
smoking
Take a
cookies every
nap.
day.
Exactly. Exactly. Really, I'm serious.
But that whole that whole, like, so doing is a more masculine energy, right? And
Yeah.
feminine, and sort of being open and receptive is a more feminine energy.
Mm-hmm.
And even though women, quote unquote, should be more in their feminine, we have adapted to be in the more masculine energy because we need to take care of everybody else. Um,
Yes,
so,
exactly.
so how did you learn? Because I know that this was an important lesson in my own evolution as well. How did
Mm-hmm.
you learn to start taking care of yourself? That was important. That's meaningful. It's not just something you should do. It should be an integrated part of your everyday experience, is taking care of yourself, just being and dreaming or imagining or being with your thoughts. Or how did you learn to do that in your own life?
I think traveling did that for me because when I experienced other cultures, they were at a slower pace than
Uh-huh.
we. It was okay to lay on the beach. It was okay to lounge around. When I just look at certain things, and when I come back from trips, it's like, wow, that was great. Why can't I do that when I'm here? Why do I have
Mhm.
to wait until I go on a trip? And because people are always going to ask you to do things because one, they know you're going to do it and they know you're going to do it well. And so, and they know you have a hard time saying no. So once I found the ability to say no,
Mm.
helped me to find that balance because I always felt like I needed to do whatever someone asked me to do. Even if there was a no burning deep inside of me, I would always feel like I needed to, I should. And once I realized, no, you don't. If you feel that burning, it says, I don't really want to do this, say no. I had to learn to say no. And that's when I started taking care of myself. That's when traveling became more important to me because I really liked going out and being able to relax. I mean, disconnect and relax and enjoy where I was. I love to see nature. I love to be out in nature. And I'm like, I go to these places and they're amazing. I never dreamt I would go to Egypt
Mm.
and to a pyramid. And when you come out of those things, you're like, your mind is blown and you have this sense of being.
Mm.
And it's just amazing the spiritual walk you get when you allow yourself to, as you say, just
Mhm.
be and connect with yourself.
I was going to say, when you talked about disconnecting, it's
Hmm.
disconnecting from all the external noise, and it's
Yes.
really connecting deeply within yourself.
Hmm. It is. It's a more spiritual connection, a more, you're more going inside yourself and
Mhm.
aware of where you are right now in the moment. Because most of us, we're not living in the moment. We're so busy trying to get to this place and that place. What am I going to do next week? How am I going? No, take a moment and just take stock of where you are right now in life. You know,
Mhm.
take a moment and go out on that deck and listen to those birds, chirping out there and just watch and just Listen to the silence that you can hear if you give yourself a moment to be with yourself and your spirit. It's amazing. It's amazing to experience that. And I do it regularly now. You know, I don't have to even go outside. I can sit right here in this office and look out that window, and I feel content because I have a bird feeder right outside. And I watch, you know, and I listen to them. And it's just so soothing. It's very soothing.
I was just going to say, even listening to you talk, there's just this sense of peace.
Yeah.
Real peace when you just be.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
So I think that this is part of what the pandemic can teach us if we allow it, is to learn to turn out or turn off all of the outside noise and fear and distraction and really come home to ourselves.
Right. Yeah. I remember when my husband, he would come home and there would be no TV on, there would be no radio on. And he's like, what is wrong with you? What is all this silence? He couldn't stand the silence. He'd have to turn on things. He didn't understand that's where I like to be. I like to be there. It's a good place. I don't need the TV. And people say, you work, you don't turn on the radio? No. Why? Why do I need that?
But don't you think that a lot of people use all of those distractions as a way to avoid facing themselves?
Absolutely. I absolutely believe that, because they think that if they take time and be with themselves, it might mean they have to do something. It might mean they have to do something differently. It might mean I need to take some action because where I am right now is not really where I want to be. But for me to get out of where I am, I need to do something. And a lot of folks aren't ready to move. Not ready. And so they stay there. And 1 year turns into 2 years, and they still know they're not where they want to be. And they've become complacent, but they feel it. So all of those external noises keeps them from having to focus on that. They don't have to focus on where they want to go and how they're going to get there.
Well, and I think not only, it may not only be complacence, it may just be fear. You know,
Fear.
this was something that I experienced while I was trying to decide if I wanted to stay in my marriage or leave my marriage. And I was scared. You know? I mean,
fear paralyzes us.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know, you know, I know that I'm not okay where I am, but I'm afraid of what's out there because I have no idea, at least in my discomfort, it's familiar.
Absolutely.
And you have like this false sense of security in your discomfort.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
So how do you help people overcome their fear and complacency? It's like, you know, how do you help people shift to, I know I'm not where I want to be, but I don't know how to get to where I think I might want to be.
Because we've all had a journey. We've all been on a journey. So what I do is I share my stories. And in sharing my story, and I'm very open and transparent when I share my stories.
Which is why it resonated with you.
Yes. Right.
Yes.
And so when you share your stories, it gives them a strength. It makes them see, well, she did it. And I always let them know, I'll be there for you. I'll be your cheerleader. You can do this. I just reinforce the fact that you don't have to stay where you are. You can make a difference and you can get through it. Just like you've gotten through so many other things in your life. I tell people to look back from where you came. And I know there were some struggles back there. You overcame them. You can overcome this too. But you've got to want it. You've got to want it enough to make the change. You've got to see a better time in your life when you visualize where you want to be. You can get there, but people need help. And people need to hear from, when I shared the story, about my son and how this woman came into his life at the age of 27, and he turned from everything he knew. I was no longer a good mother. She had convinced him that I was the worst mother in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And so he left the family. But little did I know, when he did that, he gave me a testimony that I would share over and over and over again to help other people get to a good place with the same things that had helped them, whether it was a child, a sibling, a parent. But my story, I have shared it so many times that it has helped others get to, because my thing was, I had to come to the realization that the child I had was a gift, and I had done what God had asked me to do. I had to let him go.
Mm-hmm.
I had to let him go, and I had to be okay with the way he left, because now it was his journey that he had to go on.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to find peace with the fact that I did what God asked me to do. My child is a contributing member of society. This is now his journey. I had mine. He has his in his journey. And I had to be okay with that. And I tell people, if it's meant to be, they'll be back. I reach out every now and then and say, hey, we still here. We still love you.
Mm-hmm.
So if you ever find that he wants to come back, or we're not going to make it hard for you to come back, but it's got to be a decision.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got to help people. We've got to share our stories, because our stories do empower other people. They empower our friends and our relatives, to do it, to take that first step. And sometimes after they take that first step, you might have to go and talk to them again to encourage them, be encouraging, and even if they hit a snag, we got to be encouraging. Yes, that happened, but you found a way, or we're going to find a way around that too. You're going to make it. You're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. Reinforce that.
I think that's the whole thing about non-judgment and
Mm-hmm.
and acceptance.
Yes.
That we don't, even when we don't understand what's going on with somebody else, we
Mm-hmm.
have no control over them. We only
Mm-hmm.
have control over ourselves and our responses and our reactions.
Right.
And I I imagine, I mean, when you told me the story, I was like heartbroken, because I can't imagine my kids doing that. I mean,
Right. I couldn't either. I couldn't
right.
either. I
And
couldn't.
to say, what did I do wrong? Why did he turn away from me? I mean, there must
Mm-hmm.
have been a lot of times that you were questioning yourself.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But, you go back in your mind over and over, I did this, you know, I didn't do that. And the things that he would say, I'm like, that makes no sense. And
Mm-hmm.
then I had to come to the realization that there are a lot of outside influences on our children. Yes, we raised them pretty much in a controlled environment. But
Right.
when outside that door, there are other voices they're listening to.
Right.
There are other things they're experiencing. And sometimes those voices drown out what you taught them,
Mm-hmm.
what you gave them, what you gave them,
Mm-hmm.
uh, as far as instilling values. And because if anyone would have ever told me that my son would have separated from me, I could have not have believed it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I believed that there was a reason and there was a greater good for that happening. And that's when I realized that, God has a plan. And that plan was for me, who he made me strong enough, because
Yeah.
that's the strength that God has
Yeah.
put in,
You are one strong
made
woman.
me strong enough to be able to say, hey, God's got a plan for me with this testimony. And I've been using it, and I've been helping other people to find peace, because that's what we needed to find.
Yeah.
We need to find our peace with that.
Yep.
So that's what I learned to do. And all of that came from looking at, oh, this ain't mine. This is not mine. This
Mm-hmm.
is part of the journey,
Right.
but it's mine.
Right.
And believe it or not, when my son pulled away from me, unbeknownst to me, God gave me 2 more sons.
Mm.
Gave me 2 stepsons who actually found their father
Wow.
through media.
Wow.
And these 2 sons he gave me love me like I birthed them.
Mm.
They are there for me. They check upon me. They love me unconditionally. And so that too was a blessing. Yes, God says this one has to take this path, but I need to bring these other ones to you. And believe me, I didn't know what was going on, but I became their gift.
Mm-hmm.
I became, my husband had several children, and all of them were by different women, but I gave them a single home because everyone that came to my home, I embraced them like that I had birthed them.
Mm-hmm.
You could tell who was my biological and who was my step because we didn't entertain the step.
No, because you got a whole lot of love to give.
Yes. And so when they came, it was family. So I gave them a home where they all could come and be siblings and have a mother and father. And it felt like family. It wasn't forced, it was comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate that my son, biological, missed out on that because it has been amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And this is your reward for doing what I asked you. And so, and my son gave me amazing grandchildren. I have one granddaughter named Diamond, and we're thick as thieves.
How old is she?
Diamond will be what, 15?
Uh-huh.
15. Yes. So that's my heartthrob right there.
Uh-huh. Well, and I think too, when you were talking about you had to find your peace,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like every challenge in our life,
Mm-hmm.
those are the opportunities for us to regain the peace that is supposed to be ours. Like all of these challenging situations are ways in which we could potentially like doubt ourselves, disconnect from ourselves, not honor who we are. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like all of these places are opportunities to really love and accept ourselves and find that
Mm-hmm.
sense of peace, um, that we have, when we come into this world. And I think that we have when we leave this world physically as
Mm-hmm.
well.
Exactly. I think about the times, coming up to getting to that period of peace, that destination of peace. And I think of all the times I spent alone,
Mm-hmm.
thinking about, and what could I have done? What should I have done? Could I have, and I think about that. And then I go back to, no, you raised him as you should have with the tools that you were equipped to raise him
Yeah.
with. And you gave him a wonderful life, and there is no more you could have done
Mm-hmm.
because what's him now has nothing to do with me.
With you.
You're trying to say it does because that's his way out. It's her way of manipulating him. But what they're going through has nothing to do with me.
Mm-hmm.
I came to the realization that that's their journey. I mean, it gave me a sense of peace and it made me go back and remember I had a journey. I'm sure that my journey, I had some missteps. I cut some people out of my life that probably I should not have. And it's like, okay, we all got a journey. We all got a story.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still writing mine, and this is part of that story. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay with that. And all of that, and finding peace, my spiritual peace, talking more to God, sitting still and being still so I could hear
Mm-hmm.
what he was saying to me.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I got my strength from. That's where I got most of my understanding from. I remember a young girl in my office when I was going through a rough time with my husband. She gave me a book. It was called The Story of David, Praise Under Pressure. read that book, and I tell you, every time I felt myself all bottled up and frustrated, I'd go get that book and I'd read something in the story of David. And it helped me realize that, hey, I'm somebody that God is using. I may not be perfect, but he's using me. And because he has given me so many gifts, I cannot not do what he needs me to do. Mm-hmm. I am gifts that I never knew I had. The ability even right now to speak with you. I was such a shy, timid child.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
It wasn't until I left home that I found my voice. I became, and I realized that I had a lot to offer, but I had to get away from my family in order to find me. Mm-hmm. When you're in a large family, like, it's easy to get lost in it. Mm-hmm. And leaving home, and then when I left home and realized that I did have a voice, boy, did I start to use that voice. I was an advocate for, the military wives, to the point that one of the first commanders of my husband's battalion had told him, can you get some control of your wife?
and his response was, are you kidding me?
You know what he told me? He says, sir, you have my permission to my wife. That was so funny. And I look back over those times because, we were just trying to make it. And I had all of these young military wives looking to me. And I'm like, why are they coming to me? And so that's when I found my voice. And I remember going home. And I hadn't been home for years because of our travel. We had been Frankfurt, Germany, and then I was in Fort Huachuca, Arizona. So we kept going Germany and back to Arizona. And so when I went back home, I remember my mother saying to me one time, she had said something, some things you used to let go and they could say them and you just brush them off. Uh-huh. And I guess I pressed it. And she says, I don't even know who you are. I said, really? She said, you're getting just like your sister. I don't even know who you are. Because she was not used to me speaking up for my, and I was now. And so while I was gone, I grew into my own. I found my voice, and I have been using it ever since. I've been trying my best to, make sure that what I speak motivates people to be the best that they can be. Mm-hmm. I want to make sure that I make a difference. And, on the job, people say, you really get on our nerves because every time we see you, you're happy.
You get on our nerves because you're happy? Wow.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, they be like, here comes Miss Sunshine. I said, y'all need to get over yourselves.
Why do people not want to be happy?
I don't know. I mean, and it's like, oh, here she comes. And I'm like, what is wrong with you all? And they're like, you know what? We want to be like you. That's what they say. We want to be like you.
They're just jealous.
Yes. And I tell them, you can be, but you've got to let go of some stuff.
Yeah.
Stuff. Right now, you guys are dealing in stuff and you haven't learned how to let it go. You got to let go of stuff.
Letting go of the stuff that blocks that peace.
Yes. Yes. Because, when my son first did that, it did. I couldn't find peace because I had this all the time. All the time I'm thinking about it, ruminating. I'm like, how is this happening? Because I just imagine it's happening to me. My son and I were just like this. Mm-hmm. I was 21. And we'd always been just like this, even to the point that his girlfriend had said, used to say all the time, oh, I've never seen a mother and a son so close. And that right there was a sign. She was not feeling that. Mm-hmm. Was not feeling our closeness.
I think that she was jealous too.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And so, but I thought my son would have been stronger than that. But again, outside influences. Mm-hmm. impact on our kids once they're older. We have influence when they're younger, but the outside influences are way stronger than we are as they get older.
Well, I think that speaks to everything that you've been talking about really looking inward and finding out what's right for you and
Right.
finding your voice
Yes.
to say no
Yes,
when you
exactly.
need to say no, to
Mm-hmm.
say, this is what works for me. This is what
Mm-hmm.
I want in my life. This is the life
Mm-hmm.
that I want to create. You
Yeah.
may have your opinions and perspectives, but what really honors me? And
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really hard for both men and women to do that,
I agree.
because we're conditioned to give and do and be whom the world decides we should be.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I think and I I always say, like, who is they
Mm-hmm.
that's determining who we should be, right?
Right. Right.
So it's like, how do you come to this place of really recognizing what is right for you and honoring what's right for you, like being your authentic self, like what speaks to you, what resonates with you, not based on external influences and what he said or she said, or whoever else they is in your life.
And I think, you know what? For me, I found my passions. And once I realized what my passion in life was,
Uh-huh.
passion in life was people. It was my passion in life was making something better. Uh, I just have a passion for making people or seeing people grow into who they should be, or being the best them. I mean, it excites me that I've had the opportunity at CDC to mentor so many people, so many young ladies, so many at the time older than I was, and giving them an opportunity to self-reflect and say, and because one of the things I always used to say when I got a new mentee was, if you're not ready for the truth, you're not ready for me.
Oh, wow.
And that's what I would tell them.
Say, can you
Because
say, can you say that again, please?
if you're not ready for the truth, you're not ready for me. And that's
Yeah.
them before we get, because I was going to make them look at themselves
Yeah.
in this situation. Why is this person treating you this way? Why is this supervisor treating you this way? What are you doing to contribute to that?
Mm-hmm.
How they see you, how they treat you, how they respond to you. You've got something in this why they feel that they can do this to you. So what are you doing? And so that's the first thing I make them look at themselves. And then once we look at that, and I make them be honest, because when they tell me what the situation is, I come back with, hey, well, you should have done that, or you didn't do this, and that's why he did that.
Mm-hmm.
And when we look at that and you make them look at themselves, and then that's where the work comes in. And then I start to say, well, what is it you really want? I hear what you're saying. Obviously, either this job is not a good fit for you, but where do you want to be? And let's talk about that. Let's talk about how we're going to get you there.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we do.
That is a very,
That
very,
passion.
that's a very, very hard thing for a lot of people to do, is really face themselves.
Yes. Yes. It's very hard to do. That's why you have coaches. That's why you have mentors. You've got to realize your shortcomings. We all need help. Everyone needs some help. We do. And so you've got to find people that you trust. One of the things that helped me to grow and find myself was I would latch on to informal mentors. I didn't go to them and say, will you mentor me? But I saw the qualities that I liked in that particular person.
Mm-hmm.
I just paid attention to them and how they conducted themselves in meetings, and how they spoke and different things like that. And I'm like, what? And then I was like, I want to take a course over here because I want to be have that kind of confidence in that particular, oh, I'm going to read this book over here because I think that's going to help me with where I'm trying. But just informal mentors really helped me. And then when I got to a point where I really was like, I need more guidance, that's when I would reach out and say, hey, would you mind being my mentor? And just having someone that says, hey, first of all, just like I said, I don't have, what do you see in me that you think that I have to give you?
Uh-huh.
And I explained to them what I saw and the things that drew me to them. And we talk about it, and they said, sure, I'm willing to help you. And they did, you know. And I look back at CDC and I says, and when someone gives you that and you look back and you look over, you says, I got to give back.
Mm-hmm.
I've got to give back. And that's what I do. Because someone took the time to do it for me, I have to do it for others. Yeah.
How do you help people who, well, a couple of things, because you are a leader. I mean, you just have this energy and presence, and I don't know, you shine to me, which is why I was drawn to you. But so some people listening, they might say, well, I'm not really a leader. I'm more kind of, I prefer to stay in the background. So that's one aspect that I want to ask you about. And then the other aspect is, how do people find their passion if they just say, well, I just really don't have any passions. I'm just kind of here doing my thing and nothing is really lighting me up or inspiring me, or like, how do you help people discover that about themselves?
What was your first question you were asking about?
About being a leader. I'm not a leader, so why should I want to do any of that?
Well, and see, that was me at one time, thinking I wasn't a leader, but all my actions and all of my interactions in a group made me bubble up to the top.
Mm-hmm.
Kept denying it. But it was obvious to others that I was. There was a team of 4 of us, and somehow, some way, I became the leader of that. We were all the same grade, same everything, but somehow I became the leader of the team. I got to be the director's program assistant.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, but we deny it, but it took other people to help me realize it. It's not something I realized on my own. It took time. It took a lot for me to realize that I was, even though I kept finding myself in leadership roles and leadership positions, I still had not embraced it,
Mm-hmm.
denied it, but I was still doing. So I think a lot of things happen for me. I think being in those positions, having people always reinforcing that I had the skills, it took people to tell me and keep putting me in positions. And then I started putting myself in certain positions. But in working with people who are definitely sometimes not leaders, but you can grow a leader. They don't have to be natural leaders. There's some people who can lead in certain areas. They can't be, say, I'm not a leader, but you're a great follower and you can lead in this particular area.
Mm-hmm.
You don't not put them over everything, but there's some areas you'll see that they have potential. And so it takes sometimes people pointing out what your potential. And when you talk about, people who have a passion, not knowing what their passion is and finding their passion, you start off with little questions with them. What do you really like to do? And then
when you're confined in your house, what do you like to do?
Yeah, good point there. Exactly. What is it you like to do? There are some people who really like to clean up, who really
Can you send them to my house, please?
and mine too. And there's one friend of mine. She is the epitome of organization. I'm like, can she come over this week? But she's also a leader. But before she was a leader, she was a great organizer. And that helped her to grow into leadership roles. But I think a lot of times people have to find their passion because they have to stand still, sit still, and do some self-reflection.
Mm-hmm.
And what makes you feel good? Let's start with that.
Mm-hmm.
What makes you feel good? When you do this, that, or the, how does it make you feel?
Well, and probably people go, does it really matter how I feel? Does it matter that I feel good? Like maybe
So that's where
they spent a lot of their life not feeling good because they never gave themselves permission, which goes back to our first statement about I'm not going to take a bubble bath because it'll feel good and I'm just going to go to bed instead.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. You know, I just think life and your journey and the things that you encounter on your journey help you to grow and help you to find your passion.
Mm-hmm.
And I say because when I was that shy and timid child, my sisters were my bullies. They were my because they knew that they weren't I wasn't gonna fight back.
Uh-huh.
I wasn't gonna cry. And so they were my first real bullies in my. And so the name calling, the different things that they'd done to me, I had no sense of who I was.
Mm-hmm.
Step away from everything I knew when I got older and to find out who I was. I had to step away from it, step away from my family. And that's when I went as a military wife and we went to Yuma, Arizona. And so it's finding who you are sometimes takes you to step away from everything that is comfortable for you. And I did not realize the impact that my siblings had on me, person, during the time that they were bullied. I didn't even know that we all have this perception of who we are in our mind, and it's kind of skewed because it's based on how people have treated you.
Yeah, it's based on other people. Yeah, it's based on other people's stuff that they're trying to dump on you.
Exactly. And so in dealing with them, as I got older and was in school, because I didn't find out till later that people considered me as no nonsense. In high school, when I came back from a trip or a tour with my husband, and we came back and we saw some of our old high school friends, and we were talking, and they were telling, "Girl, you were a mess in school." And in my mind, I'm like, "What? I was nice. I was kind. I was this. I was that." They said, "Yeah, but you were no nonsense." I never knew that about myself.
Huh.
This is how I had changed to deal with negativity and things like that, because it was taught and from my siblings who were bullies. I couldn't do them. So as I got stronger, I wasn't taking no stuff from anyone.
Right.
I wasn't having it. And so I guess little things that people would do to me, I'd go straight at them. Oh no, it's not, And I never knew that. I never saw myself in that light. It took my friends to tell me. I remember in high school, I received the I Dare You award. And I'm like, dare you? What is that? You know, I'm like, they were like, we dare you to succeed because you're going to kill someone. You're not going to make it, Sharon. So I received the I Dare You award. I didn't know what that was about. It takes sometimes other people to shine a spotlight on some of the things that you think about yourself. But all of that stemmed from how my siblings had treated me.
Mm-hmm.
Put up this great defense.
Yeah,
no,
I'm tired of being messed with. I don't want anybody messing with me.
Exactly. Exactly. Because even during that time, I remember, when I was younger and I hadn't found my voice, I know for my two sisters, I tried to kill them at least twice.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I tried to choke my sister out, and with my mother sitting right across the table from us. But I had no voice. I couldn't verbalize. I couldn't spar with them verbally. And so the thing was to get to a point of such frustration and that rage. I would laugh.
Rage.
Yes, it was rage. Yeah. It was rage. And We laugh about it now, but it wasn't funny to them back then.
No.
So it had gotten to the point that they would grab, if I got mad, they would go into the kitchen and take the whole drawer of knives out.
Oh my gosh.
Because they knew something was going to happen and it wasn't going to be good. So
and you said, I dare you.
I dare you. Exactly.
Uh-huh.
So I got nicknamed Killer Kowalski. And so, but
and
again,
now she's Disco Queen Sharon.
But all of that was part of my journey and part of self-discovery, because inside of me, in my mind, that's not who I was. So I had to learn and step back and look and feel. I think that's what it was. It was feeling what I was passionate about, the fact that I was always wanting to help somebody. I was always, ready to, take part in whatever volunteer work was going on. I want to be a part of that. And so I realized my passion has always been people. Has always been people. Even as a young child, I was the neighborhood big sister. When the other big sisters, they had no time for their siblings. If I couldn't go, most of the neighborhood little children couldn't go. First, is Sharon going? So I always had the leadership, but in my mind, that wasn't me. And because I had been beat down to believe that I wasn't anything. And so going out into the world and experiencing that, and really, then you sit back over time and you start to think about when was I happy? And then you always have these people coming to you, and it's self-discovery. But you always got to take time and listen to what's going on in your own head, because that's where I go.
Yeah, when you were talking about, being a leader, it really comes down to being a leader of yourself.
Yeah. And acceptance of who you are.
Yeah.
You've come to believe everything other people have said about you. And then but that's not me, because that's how it was when my friend would say, girl, you were a mess. And I'm like, but that's not me.
Yeah.
It says now, but it was then. I says, yeah, step away from all of these things, the expectations that people had put on, because they expected me to do this and they expected me to act like this. But that was not who I really was.
Yeah.
And so, because I had been one of those shy and timid people, and I read books all the time, and I loved the little cute stories of, and so I'm like, that's not my spirit. My spirit is calm. My spirit is loving. My spirit is giving. So where's this person coming from? I don't know her. And so when people tell me that kind of stuff, I'm confused. And so that's when I started really paying attention to who I was. When I really started paying attention to what I wanted, what my passion was. And my passion has always been helping people. And I just can't get away from that. No matter how hard.
No, because you do have such a beautiful, joyful, giving spirit. And this is so bad. It's infectious.
That's good. That's wonderful. That's what I want it to be. That's what I want it to be.
That was a really bad joke, Dawn.
That's funny. I guess that's why I work in the National Center for Infectious Diseases.
Exactly. But I feel like, all of those experiences, when even, the challenging ones, the difficult ones, the ones where you doubt yourself and you feel afraid or you feel badly about yourself or whatever, all of those situations are places where you look back and you develop compassion for yourself.
Yes.
Develop understanding when you take the time to reflect about who am I really? Why am I here? What brings me joy? What do I want to fill my life with? This was the thing when I was struggling in my own marriage, I came from a really great family. My parents are still married after 57 years.
Mm-hmm.
I was a therapist at the time, counseling couples, and I was like, I can help
Mm-hmm.
so many other people and I can't help myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I kept saying, why am I going through this?
Right.
And
Right.
now I'm on the other side, and I'm and all of the things that I'm doing and all of the connections that I'm making have
Mm-hmm.
just expanded my world in such beautiful, joyful, amazing ways.
Mm-hmm.
What
Yes.
I'm doing here is my passion, having these
See?
kind of conversations to
Mm-hmm.
find out people's stories and to find out, how you overcame your crap that you dealt with and came
Mm-hmm.
to this sense of peace and love and acceptance of who you are, and what kind of life you want to create for yourself.
Exactly. And I think one of the things that really, really, I can say helped me was when I realized how important I was to myself.
Oh,
When
yes.
I realized how
Amen,
I
sister.
was to myself,
Yeah.
all the difference in the world. Because there's one thing I read recently that says, what other people think of you is none of your business.
Yeah.
And so and that's when I think I really started to understand um, about my passion, about what brought me joy, is when I'm saying, I am valued. I,
Yeah.
if no one else does, I do. I started looking at all the things I give of myself. I started looking at all the gifts that God has given me, and I've shared them. I'm like, I'm somebody. I'm not just what people think I am.
Yeah.
That I'm
That
so much more.
yeah, that you feel your own sense of value and worth.
Oh my gosh. It's liberating. It's so liberating.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, it's sad to say, haven't gotten there. And some
Yeah.
may get there
Yeah.
because they're so beat down and they don't have a circle that surrounds them with positive energy.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are in relationships or families, and the energy is toxic.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that until they step outside of that circle and have a glimpse of that positive energy or have a feel of that positive energy on a regular basis,
Mm-hmm.
I think they get stuck there. So a lot of things is going to depend on people moving out of where they are
Mm-hmm.
with other people.
Saying no to things that make them feel
Right?
badly.
Exactly. If you don't have a passion for something, when somebody asks you something you don't feel, my pastor came to me and asked me to serve on another committee for the church council, I think it was. And I told her, I cannot. She says, well, why? You're a great leader. I'm like, but I don't feel it.
Mm-hmm.
And she told me all of these things about, well, God's going to move this out of the way. I says, but if it was for me, I would already be okay with it because he would have
Yeah.
already put that in my heart. And
Yeah.
that's what would have been something he wanted me to do. I could feel it. But instead, I feel no. No is bubbling up fast and furious. And she says, well, go think about it. I says, I'll think about it. I says, but I already know if God doesn't change the way I feel, I won't be able to do it because I will not be able to give it my all. I will not be passionate about it.
Where do
And so,
you where do you feel that, Sharon? Where do you feel the
hmm,
no? Where do you feel the no versus where do you feel the yes?
I feel them in both. I feel it in my spirit. I so feel it because when something is right, if something feels good, I feel good if you ask me to do something and I feel good. I feel good all over. When someone
Like me asking you to be on this podcast. You're like, I don't know if I can do that.
but in essence, inside, I was like, why does she feel that I have something to offer? I was like, I'm excited. I want to do it. I'm like, wow, because even when you mentioned it on the ship that you would, and I'm like, oh, that's so nice of her to, I was not expecting to hear from you. No, I was like, that is so nice of her, and I'm like, but it's not going to happen. And so when you did, I'm like, oh, I want to do this. But, and then I listened at your other part. What do I have to offer? They sound so great. They've got all of this going on. And so I'm like, what do I have? But
Because
I
I
really,
see your value.
exactly. And I'm like, and then but your spirit was one that I trusted. Your spirit was something that, and when I listened to you, I trusted your spirit and your spirit to my spirit. So my spirit was like, oh, I want to do that with her. But then I'm like, well, what can I say? What can I do? What do I have to offer? But I want to do it. But what do I have to offer? So
But it wasn't like, oh no, I don't want, yeah.
no, it wasn't at all. No, it was like, I want to, but can I do this? What do I have to offer? It's always, what do I have to offer?
Uh-huh.
We always sell ourselves short. We do.
Uh-huh.
One of the things I used to say to my friend, hold on for just a moment.
Yeah.
One of the things I always, tell people is that I lost my train of thought. So, but anyway, yeah, we always selling ourselves so short. And I always tell people that be your own drum major.
Uh-huh.
You've got to be your own drum major.
Uh-huh.
And people, like when they come and I'm working with them on interview techniques and things like that for interviews and they be like, well, I can't say that. I'm like, well, if you don't say it, who's going to toot your horn if you don't toot it?
Yeah.
You've got your own champion.
Yeah.
You're going in and go in there with confidence, not cocky, but confidence. And be your true self.
Know your own value.
Know your value. And for so long, I didn't know my value.
Yeah.
I would take anything and I would do, but once you discover your worth, wow, that's when you start to discover your passions too.
And
Yeah.
that's when you feel free to just be.
Yes, to just be.
Uh-huh.
And I tell people all the time, guys, they're like, folks checking on you, okay over there by yourself? I'm fine. I have peace. Such peace. But I've also discovered during this time that I have a lot of friends who think about me. That you go through your daily routine, you don't talk to them every day, but you're on their call list. Yo, I got to check on Sharon. She's over there by herself. Or I'm just going to check on her because I need to know how she's doing. And I'm getting texts from people. I'm like, I probably hadn't spoke to you in a year, and they don't want anything. They just want to say, hey, I'm just checking on you.
Yeah.
And so you don't necessarily know the impact that you've made in other people's lives because it's just not evident every day. You don't have anybody say, oh, you're great, you did this. But yeah, you got to find your passion. You got to be okay with you.
Yeah.
You got to be. And some people, again, it takes them to get out of their own way.
Uh-huh.
Some of us can't do that because we're so beat down by what other people have done, what people in society have done to them, and drummed into their heads that if you don't have this, if you don't do this, if you don't wear that, you're not. We got to get away from that right there.
Yeah. It's like stop letting the world and everybody else define who you want to be.
Exactly.
You have to just say, this is who I am. I want to let go of all that past crap that's holding me back, because basically it's allowing other people to control your life.
Exactly.
And it's like, no, this is not the life that I want to live. I want to live this life. I want to feel peace. I want to feel joy. I want to feel connection. I want to feel
self-love.
Yeah.
Feel that self-love, because that's another thing that gets you to the point where you're able to say no.
No.
We've all, and especially women, we have to learn to say no, because we are afraid to say no because we're afraid of hurting somebody's feeling, or we're afraid of losing that friendship, or we're afraid that if I say no to something that it's not going to come back around again, or, we're just so afraid of saying no because we don't hurt somebody.
Well, I think when you say no to others, like you were talking to your pastor, I'm saying no to you, but it's really saying yes to myself.
Exactly.
Because it's honoring who I am and what my spirit wants, what my heart and soul are saying, what's resonating with me.
Right. And when I sometimes, when I say no, I always believe that there's a purpose, a reason for that no.
Yeah.
Always believe that there's something else that I'm meant to do during the time frame that you're asking me to do this. It has not yet been revealed to what that is, but something to come up that I need to do.
Right.
So I'm going to wait on that because I want to be ready and available for whatever that is.
Right. It's trusting in your own divine intuition.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's exactly what. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I feel like, we get messages all the time of little signs and guideposts about our journey, where we should be going. It's never linear. It's always like windy, circular, up and down, backwards and forwards. And you have to say, I have no idea where this is going, but I just know that this is true for me.
Exactly.
So
you have to work at it.
So tuning out all the outside noise, and it's really always about coming back to yourself.
It is. It really, and that's the only way we grow into who we're supposed to be, is when we start taking an inward look at what our passions are, what our emotions are, because a lot of times you have emotions, and sometimes take a moment and say, why am I feeling this way about this? Sometimes I about something or see something on TV and I'm like, what is that about? Why am I feeling this way? Because it resonated with me in some way.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out what that way is. So I take a moment for myself to say, why am I feeling this? Where is this coming from? And so you ask those questions of yourself. We have to take time to learn and get to know ourselves. We do. Yeah. We really do.
Yeah. So this is the last question that I ask my guests is, how do you define real love?
How do I define real love? For me, real love is just unconditional. Real love is having a feeling of joy to see a person show up at my door in my life. When I think about real love, there's nothing to define it. It's like when I met you, I feel a love for you because it's your energy. I feel that. Your energy makes me want to love you. And I think real love is just a spiritual connection with someone else. And it is unconditional. You accept people for whatever little quirkiness they may have. I have friends, I love them, but they have some ways. But I love them unconditionally.
Yeah.
Anything they need. So, to me, love is just a spiritual connection with another being. And it's unconditional. Unconditional.
Beautiful. So Sharon, you're so funny. Like, I don't know what I have to offer. Are you kidding me? This conversation has been packed with beautiful wisdom. You are an amazing woman.
Oh, Dawn, that is so kind. You're so kind.
You are an amazing woman. I saw it when we were dancing. And I
Which
knew
we
it,
love to do.
And I knew it when we were talking. And I knew that this conversation would be amazing. So thank you.
I really appreciate that. I really appreciate this opportunity to share. It gave me an opportunity to reflect.
Yeah.
Really go back and my journey and feel some of the things that that made me who I am today.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you giving me this platform, giving me this time.
Yeah, thank you. So Sharon, can people get in touch with you? Can they find you? Can they find stuff that you do at CDC?
Well, you can't find the stuff that I do at CDC, but you can always go to cdc.gov because we're all connected in there.
Okay,
But
good.
they can reach me on Facebook. I am Sharon McAfee, MCAFEE, Martin,
Okay.
MARTN. Um, I am on Instagram, Sharon Martin 16.
Okay.
Yeah, that's Instagram. On Twitter. I can't remember sometimes. On
And
everything.
do you want to give a plug for your Hosea volunteer stuff?
Oh, yeah, that's here in Atlanta. Hosea Williams used to walked with Martin Luther King, and he was a great advocate here in Atlanta. And so, yeah, Hosea feeds the hungry and helpless, and it's a wonderful organization. And right now they're looking for volunteers here in the Atlanta area. Yeah, go out there to Hosea Feeds the Hungry and check out their website. And there are always volunteer opportunities. And all kinds of things. If it's just set up, and they have the Thanksgiving dinner, and so we have like 3 days of it's set up, and you can come and cook if you like, and prep and what have you, and everything is just amazing. And it's time really, really well spent, and you walk away with a sense of you have given back to the society, to the community.
Yeah.
It's really.
Yeah.
Can I share it?
A poem?
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I wrote a poem, and I thought it would be appropriate here.
Perfect.
It's published. Let's see. And it's called The Uniqueness of Me.
Who's it by?
Sharon Martin.
Oh, it's by you.
It is.
It is by you. Okay, go for it.
It's called The Uniqueness of Me. It says, the uniqueness of me is sometimes obvious to see in my role as the student, the teacher, the mother, the lover, the wife, the friend who will love and care for you all of your life, the bowler who bowls with a spirit so free. Oh, but this is but a small part of the uniqueness of me. The true uniqueness of me is not that easy to see, for it is hidden deep within me. It is that fire that burns so deep inside that it is very easy to hide. Yet it holds my inner light that shines so bright that you might see the inner beauty in me. The inner light that shines so bright for all to see is the magnificent spirit God has given me. This spirit is the true uniqueness of me.
Oh my gosh, that is gorgeous.
I encourage.
Show me that book.
It's called A Surrender to the Moon.
Oh my gosh, that's beautiful, Sharon.
It's from the International Library of Poetry.
Oh my gosh, can people find that somewhere?
I found it on Amazon. Well, this one was sent to me by the publisher, but I found it on Amazon the other day.
Oh my God, that's amazing. You are a gift.
Thank you. Thank you.
You wrote it when?
I wrote this poem. I was in a class, and the class was called, let's see, because I wrote a little bio profile. Professor challenged us to write about the essence of my unique self. And that's when I came up with that poem.
Beautiful. The uniqueness of me.
This
is everything that
Sharon and Martin.
This is what we have been talking about this entire time, about self-reflection and what I say at the end of every podcast, the most important relationship you'll ever have is the one you have with yourself. So thank you for highlighting that. Thank you for expressing that. Thank you for being the leader that you are and sharing your light and your love and your peace and your joy. I mean, it's been a pleasure to spend a week with you on the ship.
I know, right? We'll have to do that again.
We will have to do that again. And I would love to have more of these conversations because.
Oh, absolutely. I'd be more than happy to.
Yeah, this is how we shine our light and uplift the world.
Great. That's what we need to do.
Yeah. So for all of you listeners, I'm sure you will love this conversation because there's so much wisdom and, beauty and joy and love and acceptance and peace in this conversation. So please subscribe and share with all of your friends. Subscribe to the Wake Up to Real Love podcast. And if anyone would like to work with me on rising out of heartbreak and betrayal, you can find me on Facebook and Instagram at The Awakening with Dawn, and my YouTube videos that I'm going to post will be on YouTube soon under The Awakening with Dawn as well, and Wake Up to Real Love podcast. And, as I said, the most important relationship you'll ever have is the one you have with yourself. And you are a beautiful example of that, Sharon Martin. So thank you so much for being here with me today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Dawn. I really appreciate the time with you.
All right, listeners, every day, wake up to more and more real love. Take care. We'll see you next time. Bye.